You consider yourself unlucky in love? Do you kind of sit around and painfully watch all of your friends hook up, get married, secretly thinking, when will it be my turn? Am I actually that unlovable? That might be a question that you're asking. What's wrong with me? Why am I still single and stuck? My name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I am a relationship expert and the founder of the Real Love Revolution. And in this week's Real Love Revolution video, I'm going to help you change your luck in love. So get a pen and let's start. I wanted to begin with talking about the reasons why people feel like they're unlucky in love. And really, what I think they are is mistakes that people make. And I'm not blaming you, but I feel like there's a misunderstanding about certain things that creates this pattern. So I'm going to tell you a few of those things so we can start with that, which is people mistake lust for love many times, right? So your body may feel a certain way, but if you're really not compatible with that person in the mind, that relationship is going to fizzle out, right? Which adding to the unlucky factor, right? A lot of times, especially women dating, we can mistake flash for substance, right? Like someone, I'll say to my friends, that person was all sizzle and no steak, right? So someone who kind of woos you with fanciness, but actually what you need for a long-term relationship is someone who's solid, and they may be a less flashy person, but someone who can actually show up and do what they say they're going to do. Another mistake that I see is that clients will come to me and tell me what the person said to them. So it's like mistaking words for actions. They'll say, well, he says he made a reference to in the future from now, and maybe in a month from now, he might go to this wedding with me. And all of those things may be true and may be lovely, but what I really care about is how is the person acting towards you? So I don't want you to make that mistake of believing words, but not looking for the actions that would make up those words. And the next one is basically the same, which is someone who will plan with you, like believing that plans create the reality. But what creates the reality is what you're living right now. If someone says, hey, I'll call you tomorrow, and they don't call you the next day or the next day, but maybe they do call you 2 weeks later, right? That's the reality of that person and their ability to show up, not the nice things that come out of their mouth, you know? And I think that a lot of times infatuation gets mistaken for love as well, because those feelings, they're endorphins, they're very powerful feel-good emotions that come out when we meet someone and we start fantasizing about the future, what could be, what's possible, would they make a good father to my unborn children? All of these feelings, and especially if you have a hot chemistry with someone, again, you can become infatuated, but that's really not the same thing as knowing someone. So those are a few of the things that I've seen over the many years, the past 20 years of being a therapist. And another one is looking for someone to complete you. It's like waiting until you find this love and then your life can begin. And I've had many female clients in my practice where they really feel like their life is on hold. And I feel like they've put their life on hold, waiting until their luck changes. And so my theory as a psychotherapist and a relationship expert is that there really is no luck when it comes to love. There are other factors that impact how well you know how to attract a healthy relationship. So let's talk about those, because those are things that you can change. The first one is I want you to understand your downloaded love blueprint. So I have many of you, if you know my work, maybe you already know your love blueprint, because I always want people to check it out. So there'll be a few questions, and there'll be a little guide that you can download, and I'll add just a couple of key questions that you can ask yourself about your family of origin, about your parents' marriage, which will give you some insight into your internal paradigm around romantic relationships. Because you may not like the internal paradigm that you have, but the only way to change it is to actually know it. So if your parents fought all the time and were really incompatible, but they stayed together. You may find yourself in relationships with people that you can't get along with, but you can't break up with. Once you understand why, by unpacking what you witnessed as a child and what you saw, what were the models of behavior of love that you saw, you then can have a chance to change that. But you can only change it if you know what it is. So that's why your love blueprint is so important. And I want you to right now commit to throwing out the idea of luck altogether. Like, luck makes it in someone else's hands, right? If you believe in like the one true love, there's only one person who could ever be right for you, or the destiny, the dharma, the soulmate. Like I've always sort of stayed away from that because I believe that we can have multiple soulmates in one lifetime. I really do. And I sometimes believe that children are soulmates to mothers and fathers, and best friends can be sort of soulmates, you know? So I want you right now to commit to taking the whole unlucky in love thing. Like, just get rid of that phrase and watch your language. This is another thing, is look at the way that you're talking about it, because in all ways, we're creating our own vibration around love. And if you're embarrassed that you're not married yet or not partnered yet, and you talk about it in a way like making fun of it, like, oh yes, I'm going to be a cat lady forever, haha, hashtag always alone or whatever. No, everything you're doing in life is to create a better relationship with yourself. This is how I think you can change your luck when it comes to romantic love, is make a decision that you're going to fall madly and deeply in love with yourself. Get to know yourself, understand your love blueprint. That's the beginning. And then be willing to stay in the game. Everyone has bad experiences. We all, I don't know one person, me included, who hasn't had their heart ripped out and stomped on by somebody. So I could have focused on that one experience that actually I flew all the way to Europe to have my heart stomped on at Christmas time. It was awful and cried for months afterwards, but I lived. I could have decided that that meant I was unlucky in love and gone down that road. You know, according to my mother, it just meant that he was an idiot, but it also meant that I learned something about myself. What was this guy really telling me about him before I flew all the way to be in Germany at Christmas time with a guy who was breaking up with me? Thanks. On Christmas Eve. Like, wow, worst vacation ever. Not really a vacation, obviously. But I learned so much about myself. So you have to decide, will you take the time to learn from the experiences that you've had? Meaning, what was your part in how that went down? I ignored the signs that this guy was trying to tell me that he was like kind of no longer in love with me, but I didn't want to hear that. And when I straight up confronted him, he denied it. So, but in my heart, I knew it, you know, that would never happen again in my life. And it never did. I was like, wow, you were in denial. You didn't want to know, but look what happened. You spent all that money to go get dumped. That sucked, right? Let's not repeat that. So another thing that you can do is learn from your past experiences and really try not to get jaded. Really try not to get jaded. Whether you have healthy love in this life or not, that is on you to not give up hope. So I'm not blaming you, because if nobody taught you how to have a healthy relationship, how would you know? But you can find out from people like me who have all this free content out there in the world, who will teach you step by step how to do it. But the real key is that you must be willing to take responsibility for that happening. And so no more saying unlucky in love, right? We're just completely done with that. You're changing your luck because we're just moving into being empowered. And being empowered means doing something, right? Being willing to fail. It's going to happen. You're going to have bad dates. You're going to meet guys who are ghosters, whatever. You may be a ghoster. I do not know, but I would not suggest it if you are. Karmically, it is not a good idea. But what I'm saying is that it's not all going to be, you know, unicorns and roses, right? You're not always going to have great dates. But so what? If you make that mean you're unlucky in love, then that's what it means. And if you make that mean like, hey, this is the part of doing business, of being single in this day and age, is that you probably go on a lot of dates. Great, do it. See it as an adventure, every single one, and just keep going. But learn something. Debrief after every one and be like, okay, so what happened? Don't make yourself crazy, but look at, were there signs that this person wasn't right, but you went anyway, you know? Okay, what else? You have to be willing to deal with yourself, confront your insecurities, look at the limiting beliefs and the limiting stories that you may be saying about yourself have everything to do with what's happening and not happening. So you got to be willing to really take a deep dive into what you've been saying and doing in your life. Confront those demons. And you've got to be willing to be vulnerable. I don't mean forced vulnerability. I don't mean instant vulnerability, telling someone your deepest, darkest on date one. Absolutely not. I'm firmly against that. But I do think that being your authentic, amazing, one-of-a-kind self and being truthful about who you are, that's your special sauce, right? That's your secret power. That's your superpower, is you. And that there's no one else in the world who is you. There will never be in the history of the world another human being with your DNA. You are the only you. So you might as well be as authentic as possible. And again, that doesn't mean telling someone your life story. That's not it. But it does require a few last things to help you change your luck. It really does require you to get up off your butt and be in the dating scene. You got to do it. So you're confronting your fears, you're getting out there. And listen, you're allowed to be afraid. It's cool. Be afraid and do it anyway. Because anything worth having is worth working through that fear. Everything is scary. Building an empire is scary. Being in a relationship is scary. Having kids is scary. Owning a pet is scary, right? You live in New York City. Sometimes just leaving your apartment is scary. But we do it anyway because that's what living is. You can't be alive and not be afraid. Don't kid yourself that you need to have it all together to be on the dating scene successfully, because you don't. Don't wait to lose that last 10 pounds. You are lovable, worthy, and awesome the way you are right now. So build that relationship with yourself as you are on the dating scene. And I promise you, your luck will change because you deserve real love. You really do, but you got to be willing to work for it. I will be cheering you on like a wild maniac from the sidelines. You know I will. So, as always, drop me a comment. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. I answer them myself. It's not someone who works for me. So, because I don't have therapists who work for me, so I have to answer them myself. If you like this, please share it on social media. If you are unaware that I have a podcast, I do. It's really the Terri Cole Show, but it's called Hello Freedom. So you can find it on my website, and usually the content. So I actually record a different version of this where I talk a little more deeply, maybe share more personal stories in the podcast. So if you're a listener rather than a watcher and you'd prefer that, please go to terricole.com, or you can go to iTunes and just search my name and you will find it. And you guys, if you are women and you have not joined my tribe, please do. It's terricole.com/RLR. And you can join. That'll be my free Facebook group. I'll give you a bunch of goodies. And don't forget to download the list of all of the things that I shared with you. It is your checklist from this Real Love Revolution video about being unlucky in love. All you need to do is click the link and download it so you have it with you. I hope you have an amazing week, being oh so fortunate, creating your own luck, people. And as always, take care of you.